Welcome to a new episode of the Opening Bid Unfiltered podcast. I'm Yahoo Finance Executive Editor Brian Sozzi. And like I always say, this is a podcast that will make you a smarter investor, period. And we're going to get you a lot smarter about one iconic tech company. That is eBay on this episode. Joining me now is eBay CEO Jamie Iannone. Good to see you here at the NASDAQ in Times Square. 30 years since your founding. Where does the time go?
Right? eBay was started on Labor Day of 1995 with a broken laser pointer. And here we are 30 years later and kind of really back in the home of re-commerce and non-new in season. It's exciting.
That's what the first customer bought, right?
Yep.
A broken laser pointer?
That's exactly right, for about $14.83.
And for those not familiar, who founded eBay?
Piero Migliar.
Wow.
So Pierre wrote most of the code himself over Labor Day. It was actually originally called Auction Web and then changed the name to eBay. And yeah, that started this real craze. You know, now 134 million people shop on eBay all around the world in 190 different countries. But it started from that one first sale.
Remember when Beanie Babies were hot on the platform?
Yes. Well, it's kind of funny because Labubus are hot right now. So it makes me think of the days when, you know, Beanie Babies were hot. There's always some kind of interesting trend in pop culture that's happening on the platform.
It's so hard not to collect those Labubus. I just have nowhere to put them in my one-bedroom co-op on Long Island. Like, I want them all, especially like the sparkly ones that I'm seeing at the U.S. Open. Like, it's just really interesting stuff.
It's amazing to watch, and we've built a lot for collectors on the platform now. People are collecting Pokemon cards and trading cards, and massive business. Collectibles for us is over $10 billion on the platform.
$10 billion?
Yeah. And we just started a new feature a couple quarters back called eBay Live. So people are actually doing live selling on the platform now. And that's working really well in something like Collectibles because you see enthusiasts kind of watching things and meeting the sellers and really getting to know them, interacting with other buyers on the platform, and the community is so exciting. And that's what's fun about eBay. I've been around eBay since 2001. I started
You're
working
a boomerang,
there.
as they
I'm
say
a boomerang,
in tech
yeah.
land.
I started working there in 2001 in the very early days. Then I came back 5 years ago as CEO. But it's really interesting to see, now K-pop demon hunters are selling. People are searching for Taylor Swift's engagement dress. Pokemon is really hot right now. So it's great to see kind of every kind of enthusiast you could think of, from fixing up your car to loving handbags to Magic the Gathering. It all shows up on eBay, and really connecting buyers and sellers is what we've been doing for 30 years.
I want to get, of course, into the business of the company today, but what was it like in those early days? You joined, almost 6 years?
Yeah,
the company's
6 years
founding.
in the company,
What was it like in 2001 at eBay?
What was fun about it, and the reason I came back as CEO, is because I like to say, how many places can you work where your sellers come up and hug you? And people did. They got to know me, and they came up and they're like, let me tell you the story about how eBay changed my life. And that was a huge part for me to see like the impact that we made. We have what I call a lot of accidental entrepreneurs, people that didn't intend to build a business on eBay. They just needed money, or they lost their job, or they needed to care for an ailing parent. And so they turned to eBay to make a little extra money and turn that into a side business. And so it's fun to come back now, here are celebrating our 30-year anniversary, and hear the same type of stories from our sellers and the impact that we have. And so it reminds me very much of the early days of connecting with our community, and a big part of the reason why I came back as CEO.
Is it amazing to see these reinventions of iconic tech companies? I see what eBay, I look where I work. I work at Yahoo. I mean, we've seen so many iterations over many decades, and we're here and we're crushing. I mean, how do you drive like a rebirth like this?
I feel lucky to be CEO of eBay right now in a time where all this new technology with Gen AI is coming out, because we can really use it to change the experience on eBay. So go back to when I started in 2001. If I wanted to sell a trading card, I had to type all the information in, fill out all the data fields, write the description.
Mickey Mantle, buy this card.
Try and take a picture on something beautiful. Now, all of that is done with AI on the platform, and it's great to see. Sellers are telling us we can list so much more stuff now with the use of these AI tools. And the whole idea is to unlock what's in people's closets and garages and houses. I would like to say the average household has $3,000 to $4,000 of stuff that could be sold on eBay, and less than 20% of that is online.
Wow.
And so really unlocking all of that amazing inventory. And if you look at younger kids today, they're really leaning into sustainability and the planet and pre-loved items. And that's where eBay is really strong. 40% of what we sell is used or refurbished.
I want to go through your lines of business, but I have to start on collectibles.
Yeah.
It's an industry we follow, I think, very closely at our friends at Yahoo Sports. They have some great coverage. They recently launched on that. But why do you think this business has gotten so big at eBay?
Yeah, so first off, we've been really innovating to help collectors use the platform better. So a big part of it is grading products, so grading cards on the platform. We've done a partnership with PSA that now makes it really easy. You can actually just do with one click, take something that I've got graded and sell it on the platform.
So you grade it yourself. So it's you can say, hey, this card is authentic.
Yeah, we grade it, or PSA actually grades it. We have a partnership with them. But you used to have to wait to get your card back, to get it, receive it back. Then you had to type all the information in again to go sell it on eBay. Or if you wanted to get a graded card that you had bought on eBay graded, that was a hard process. We've made that super simple. We've actually, we purchased Golden Auctions. We just sold the Honus Wagner ball on the platform. And one of the exciting innovations there is eBay Live. So on eBay Live, people are doing live case breaks. You can actually go buy, what's your favorite sports team, Brian?
Yankees.
You can buy the Yankees, and during a case break, any Yankees cards that will come up, you actually get them as part of the eBay Live experience. People are selling watches, handbags now. Thousands of people are watching our sellers interact. So that's an exciting new part of what's happening in collectibles.
What's next in collectibles?
I think we're going to continue to innovate to make it easier to transact on the platform. So we've launched new shipping solutions to make it really easy to have kind of tracked collectibles. And we're really leaning in and listening to our customers. I think we're still at the earliest days, for example, of eBay Live and how collectibles are going to use that. What we actually see is people are finding a new area of enthusiasm because of eBay Live. So I have a friend who was collecting trading cards, but he started watching comic book collecting because of eBay Lives, and now he's starting to collect comic books. And so it's interesting to see how these new tools we're giving sellers are creating more enthusiasts for the passion and hobby areas.
What is eBay Live?
So basically it's live streaming and selling. So you go on any time of day, and our sellers are on there kind of selling their products and showing them off. And consumers come on and watch, and they talk to each other, and they comment. Sellers get to know the buyers that show up every day for their stream. We just had a watch buyer on the platform who has a great following. He listed a Patek Philippe watch. He started at $29,000, and it got bid up over time and sold for $74,000, which is about what it's worth on this live platform. So it's exciting to see how sellers use it. What I used to say when I was here in the early 2000s was, just give this amazing community a tool and watch what they do with it. And that's what's been fun to see, is how they take new tools like Live and really run with it to create new businesses.
How does eBay make money on Live? Is it you get a percentage of the sale, and do you have advertising on there?
Yeah, it's the same way we make it on the core business. So it's a percentage transactions. So it's just like selling something on the core business would be selling it on Live. And our ad business is primarily around marketplaces that we drive that. We now have a $1.8 billion ad business that's been growing really well. But eBay Live is still a nascent product, but one we think has a lot of potential.
Do you sell anything on eBay?
I do. I sell a lot of stuff around the house. When I show people now how easy it is to list because of AI and to get stuff on there, if they don't say, I have a ton of stuff that I can sell, they say, my spouse has a ton of stuff that they can sell.
Well, they have $4,000 worth of stuff in the closet for themselves.
So that real kind of unlock is just, my whole vision is I want to make it simpler than throwing it in the trash or to sending it to Goodwill to sell it on eBay, because you're giving that product a second, a third, a fourth life in that case, which is really kind of helping the planet. And it also helps people get a value that they wouldn't otherwise get. And when the consumer dollar is stretched, people turn to places like eBay to buy used, to buy refurbished. And that's one of the great strengths of the marketplace.
Another big business you have, and I've heard you talk a lot about it on a series of earnings calls, is auto parts.
Yes. It's a well north of $10 billion we do in parts and accessories. And it's because we actually have amazing inventory on the platform, and we really worked on the experience there of having incredibly high customer satisfaction. So now you can absolutely make sure that that part's going to fit your vehicle. We have a program called Guaranteed Fit, where we guarantee that it's going to fit your vehicle. We actually bought a company in the past to help us kind of do even more advanced fitment on the platform. And you find everything from enthusiasts that are fixing up their cars.
That's what I've bought, classic parts, classic
Yeah.
car parts from there. So I thank eBay for having them. I appreciate it.
Yeah, to maintainers like me, I replaced the windshield sprayer on my wife's car.
You did that yourself?
And I did that for $22. If I'd have taken that to someone, it would have cost me a couple $100. And that's what people love about eBay is like they can find just about everything. We guarantee that it's going to fit. It's a great experience.
How do you grow a business like that? Is it a matter of getting more people to sell parts on the platform, or is there a new category you can get into in auto parts?
Well, it's been growing really well. We've been growing at market rates of growth in that category. It's one of our focus categories. Our focus categories in total have grown 10% last quarter, which is great to see. But when we look at a category like that, there are opportunities. We just purchased a company called Caramel to get into end-to-end vehicle sales. So we're actually focused on the collectible car market. And so now every day.
Stop it. Are you serious? I have to write that down.
Yeah, we have this end-to-end experience where we take care of the financing, the title transfer, the delivery of the product, the payment of the product is all end-to-end. So it's fun to see. The other day I was looking at our reports and someone bought a $160,000 Porsche from someone who lives in a different part of the country. And that end-to-end experience really brings a lot of trust to the platform. And so in that case, we're going after a $75 billion collectible car market.
Do you see eBay competing with a Carvana? Is that where you want to go here?
We're not trying to sell like a Toyota Sienna or an Acura product. We're really focused on that collector, that enthusiast that's buying the 1959 Corvette or that unique collectible car, because it works well with our parts and accessories business too, right? Because what do you do after you buy a car that you want to fix up?
Trust me,
you buy a lot of parts and accessories.
I've bought a lot of parts. I can't tell you how many. I have the receipts from eBay. Hang with me, Jamie. We're going to go off for a quick break. We'll be right back on Opening Bid Unfiltered here from the NASDAQ in Times Square. All right, welcome back to Opening Bid Unfiltered here at the NASDAQ in Times Square. Having a fun chat on eBay, all things eBay with eBay CEO Jamie Iannone. I had no clue that you were now in the collectible car market. So you have collectibles, you have auto parts, you have eBay Live. What's your product roadmap looking out over the next, let's say, 12 to 14 months?
Yeah, look, we have 5 categories in eBay that are over $10 billion. That's fashion, electronics, collectibles, home and garden, and motors, parts, and accessories. Our newest category that we're leaning into is fashion. Fashion is over $10 billion on eBay, and we have a great opportunity to really elevate the experience in fashion because of all the new Gen AI tools. And we have a great roadmap of tools to make discovery better. We just launched new sizing features on the platform so you can save all your sizes. All of your recommendations will come and your sizes on the platform. And we have the world's best inventory. I mean, when you look at, there's a reason we do over $10 billion is because people love being able to shop, new fashion, vintage fashion, last season's fashion, things that they can get. And that's an example of a category where the younger consumer is leaning in. We see, especially in Europe, in our European businesses, a lot of younger consumers have a good part of their closet as pre-loved clothing. And so it's an example of the innovation that we're driving to really help grow our focus categories.
So true story. 15 years ago, maybe 20 years ago, I bought a watch on eBay. It was a Movado, or so I thought it was. It turned out to be fake. And I said to myself, I'm never buying another expensive watch from eBay. How do you authenticate the stuff on the platform?
First, I'm sorry you had that experience.
Well, this is before you, so we can blame prior management. It's fine.
Trust and safety has been incredibly important to me. So we started authenticating products on the platform. So if you buy a watch, a handbag, a pair of sneakers, trading cards, it actually goes through one of our authentication centers before it ends up at the buyer. This quarter, we actually authenticated 1 million items, and we hit our 15th million item authenticated to our centers. And to my knowledge, we've never had a counterfeit product get through one of our authentication centers. We put a lot of care and detail into raising the level of trust on the platform. We now have, warranties on the platform. When you buy a refurbished product, it comes with a 2-year warranty. Since I came back as CEO, really making sure that it's incredibly safe to buy on eBay, you're getting the authentic products has been a priority, and it's working out really well. If you talk to watch collectors now, go talk to your friends, they will tell you they love eBay because they get a great experience through our authentication.
You mentioned that consumers were challenged, and I'm seeing it through a lot of the retailers that I talk to, retail CEOs. We're seeing a trade down, whether it's because of inflation, economic uncertainty. Has that fed eBay's business model this year? Because the fact is, if you're authenticating products, you could get a high product for a lot cheaper.
Yeah, it's definitely been more of a factor in Europe. Over in UK and Germany, we're in a more challenging macro environment. And what we see is consumers trading down when their wallets are stretched and buying used and refurbished. As I said, used and refurbished is 40% of what's on the platform now, and it's actually growing faster than new products. And it makes a lot of sense, right? Is because when you're trying to make your dollars last, and you can get a brand, an almost like new product for 40% less, and it's backed by a warranty and money back guarantee, people do trade down and take advantage of that. The other thing we see is that when consumers are stretched, they start selling stuff that they have around the house. So it's a great time for us to acquire new consumer sellers to the platform and really show them how easy it is now to list on eBay.
I can only imagine the reports you get on eBay every single day. It's a huge platform. Are more people, I'm looking for economic clues, are more people selling more stuff on your platform over the past few months because they're worried about the economy?
We talked about at earnings, Brian, is the consumer in the U.S. actually has hung in there pretty well. Our U.S. business grew 7% last quarter, and our focus categories grew 10%. So we saw the consumer, really hang in there overall. I think, as you've heard from a lot of CEOs, there's likely a bifurcation between lower income consumers and higher end consumers. We've had a very strong luxury business for many, many quarters now from that standpoint. I would say the more challenging we see as a business, because a little bit more than half our business is outside the U.S., is really consumers in European markets. They're, when you look at, UK and Germany, they're predicted to have, maybe 1%, in the case of Germany, very little GDP growth. So we definitely see a difference in the consumer between markets.
Do you see a slowdown coming at all in the U.S.? Any red flags or indicators?
We operate in dynamic environments, so I like to control what we can control. And that's if times get more challenging for consumers, we're going to be there with used, refurbished values, backed by kind of huge trust and warranties, and really leveling, increasing the level of that experience on eBay. And so we've operated for 30 years through lots of different environments. I like to say that some of our best sellers were actually acquired during 2008 and 2009 because they turned their businesses to eBay when times were
Well, hopefully
tough.
we're not back there. We're not going there again.
So, whenever we're in environments like that, eBay is there in good times and bad. It also makes our platform more resilient, right? Because we can appeal to consumers during tough times.
I'm really of the view, Jamie, that small business owners got the short end of the stick on this de minimis issue here. What are you hearing from this community as they try to navigate this?
Our role as a marketplace is to really help them navigate cross-border trade. We've been doing that for 30 years. And while we're not immune to it, our sellers tend to be more resilient. So if you look at sellers that we have overseas, we've been dealing with the changes in China for many, many months now. Those consumers actually opened up new corridors, those sellers did, shipping now into UK and Germany to be able to kind of manage their businesses and keep thriving. For buyers, they have a lot of choice on the platform. They can buy from 190 markets. So if a product is more appealing to buy domestically, they can kind of now do that. What we do at eBay is we really focused on helping our sellers and buyers succeed, enabling it, having a lot of transparency for buyers about what fees they're going to pay, et cetera. And we contemplated a range of scenarios, including the most recent news in our guidance that we put out there for Q3, and feel really good about our ability to navigate this and to help our sellers navigate it.
You spent a little time on the Reddit blog, and it looks like a lot of sellers are pushing through higher prices because of this. Have you seen that?
In some cases, when we saw our Chinese sellers that had forward deployed inventory start to replenish, we did see higher prices come through. Obviously, that means kind of more sales for eBay because of the higher prices on the platform. And in other cases, our sellers are looking for how do I be more nimble with my supply chain, with my sourcing, et cetera, to be able to kind of navigate changes and be there for their buyers.
I was talking to one analyst that covers eBay, and they noted that you are at an inflection point, eBay. Do you feel that way?
I feel like since I came back as CEO, it's been really exciting to feel the momentum and the underlying health of the business get so much stronger. Our focus category strategy is working. It's growing faster than the rest of the business. We're actually taking segment share when you look in aggregate across our focus categories. I think the investments that we're making horizontally in the business, in AI and in other tools to really help selling and listing and recommendations and buying are making a huge difference. And we've gotten really focused on driving specific segments. Like we've built a really healthy C2C business in Germany and the UK with some changes that we made recently, which is great. So I do feel like the business has a lot of momentum. I also feel like the best days are ahead of us. I think we're just getting started in how we're using technology to fundamentally change the experience and make it so more compelling for buyers and sellers.
In the last portion of that podcast, Jim, we always love to get a hot take from our guests. Nothing planned, just living in the moment here. You returned to eBay. You were there, and then you came back as CEO. In that, I think what we're seeing now, investors are seeing with eBay, is a lot of the initiatives that you put into enactment those early days when you came back as CEO to lead this company. That first year, what did you do as a leader to set the company up for success?
Yeah, I thought eBay was too focused on going after new in season when I came back, and I was most recently at Walmart, and I thought eBay had a real treasured opportunity in getting back focused on re-commerce, on non-new in season, and on building category by category the absolute best experience. So we started rolling out 5 years ago our focus category strategy, where now we have leading customer satisfaction. Brian, we've moved customer satisfaction by like 20 percentage points, and I like to say that GMV follows customer satisfaction, and it's why we're seeing such great results and momentum on the platform. And so I think that refocus back on what we're great at, the refocus on helping sellers succeed. I like to say working at eBay is an open book test. You just go talk to your community and they'll tell you, here's the types of things we need to make this community better. That's where eBay Live came from. People started saying, we would love this feature to be able to do live selling, and that started growing. So that was true 25 years ago when I was at the company, and it's still true today.
So a good management tip is focus. Sometimes you don't have to do everything, right?
That's right, and really nailing what you think is at the core of that strategy, getting the whole company behind it, leaning into your community, that makes a huge difference. And listen to your customer. We do that every day. We just had thousands of sellers in Vegas. It was a great case of listening to your customer base and telling you what they need.
What's Pierre up to these days?
Pierre left the company. He was on the board up until I came back as CEO, and so he's kind of doing his own thing. We have an awesome board of directors that I feel great about, but it's an exciting milestone for the company. Pierre's very first employee was a guy named Chris Argapo, and he's actually here with us celebrating our 30th year anniversary.
Does he still work at the company?
Still worked at the company.
Wow.
He's been at the company the whole time, so it's really exciting. We also have some longtime sellers with us, and this company was built on the backs of amazing sellers who have built awesome businesses, so it's great to have some of our longtime sellers along with us celebrating 30.
Well, keep feeding me those classic car parts. I'm going to need them for my 91 Classic. eBay CEO Jamie Iannone, good to see all the work you're doing there, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Brian.
All right, and that is it for the latest episode of the Opening Bid Unfiltered podcast. Please continue to hit us with all that love on social media and on YouTube. I really appreciate it, and it makes us even better here on the team. We'll talk to you soon.